CeeDee Lamb sends message to Cowboys about his role. CeeDee Lamb has a tendency to let his frustration show when he is not utilized enough by the Dallas Cowboys, and the star wide receiver says the reason for that is very straightforward. Lamb was asked by a reporter on Friday about his role in the Cowboys' offense. He said he never wants to come across as stingy, but believes Dallas drafted him in the first round a few years ago for a reason. "I have to make it clear, I'm not stingy. I'm here to help," Lamb said. "I don't necessarily think you take anyone in the first round and not have them help the team. That's point blank period. Just let me do what I can do to provide for this team. I know all my brothers in the locker room know I got their back. And I say that confidently." Lamb had a season-high 13 targets when the Cowboys beat the New York Jets 30-10 in Week 2. Dak Prescott looked Lamb's way less often in the next 3 games, with the receivers' targets decreasing to 7, then 6 and then 5. Lamb had just 4 receptions in each of those games. He was visibly dissatisfied on the sideline during Dallas' Week 5 blowout loss to the San Francisco 49ers, which led to Prescott having to answer some questions from the media. Though he later said he regretted the way he acted, the squeaky wheel approach seemed to work for Lamb. He caught 7 passes for 117 yards in a 20-17 win over the Los Angeles Chargers the following week. The Cowboys then had their bye last week. Like many star wide receivers, Lamb wants the ball as much as possible. Anytime the Cowboys lose and he draws a handful of targets or less, Lamb is going to feel like he could have made a much bigger impact on the game. That is something Prescott and Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy have to manage in order to keep their best receiver engaged. The Dallas Cowboys have just days until the trade deadline, and one former NFL receiver thinks owner Jerry Jones should move for a New Orleans Saints WR. Whether the Cowboys need another WR or not can be debated, but there's no question that Saints WR Michael Thomas would improve the team. On a recent episode of Fox Sports Undisputed, 3-time Pro Bowler Kesan Johnson urged the Cowboys to make a trade for Thomas. Johnson happens to be the uncle of Thomas, but he claims that the idea has nothing to do with relation. He's on an expiring contract, he's healthy. If that isn't easier to get than Denver Broncos WR, Courtland Sutton, then you may want to kick the tires on Courtland Sutton. You need a large red zone opportunity, you don't have one. I understand CeeDee Lamb is there, but you've got to have a guy in that zone that's a big physical presence because the tight end is not. Undisputed host Skip Bayless then asked if Thomas will cost a first-round pick. Johnson clearly did not think so, thanks to his age and contract. Getting someone with his ceiling for cheap would be a huge move, but the Cowboys and Jerry Jones seem far away from making that happen. Thomas in last year of deal with Saints circa 2019, Thomas looked like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. The former Ohio State star was coming off back-to-back All-Pro selections, going for 5,512 receiving yards and 32 touchdowns over his first 4 seasons per PFR. However, he has not come anywhere near that in the years since. That is primarily due to injury, but there is also just a visible drop in effectiveness. The Saints having a rotating cast at QB hasn't helped, but Thomas has only played 17 games since the start of the 2020 season. Thomas has started the 2023 season consistently, though. He has been targeted no less than 6 times per game, and his lowest yards total this year, 42, was in the same game that he scored his lone touchdown of the season. All the extra factors make a potential Cowboys trade for Thomas a gamble, but there is clearly still a talented receiver as he approaches his 31st birthday. As the trade deadline nears, the Dallas Cowboys have a key position they could upgrade at. In a trade scenario proposed by Pro Football Network's Dallas Robinson, the Cowboys would acquire Green Bay Packers cornerback Rasul Douglas in exchange for a 2024 fifth-round pick. While Dallas currently lacks a 2024 fifth-round pick, they traded theirs during the 2023 NFL Draft. They could either acquire one at the deadline or instead flip a 2025 fifth-round pick. Following the season-ending injury suffered by number 1 cornerback Trevon Diggs, the Cowboys now feature Stephon Gilmore and former nickel cornerback Darren Bland on the outside with Jordan Lewis on the inside as the new nickel cornerback. By acquiring Douglas, they could then shift Bland back to the nickel position and stick Douglas as the corner on the outside, as suggested by Robinson. Instead, Dallas has shifted slot corner Darren Bland to the outside to play alongside Stephon Gilmore, writes Robinson. He's been excellent, but Jordan Lewis has struggled inside. Would the Cowboys consider adding another outside CB and moving Bland back to the nickel? Potential Rasul Douglas trade would impact future. Not only would the move for Douglas have an impact on the present season for the Cowboys, it would have an impact on the team's future after the 2023 season. That's because Gilmore will be a free agent during the 2024 offseason, while Douglas is signed through the 2024 season. Rasul Douglas has spent time inside and outside during his NFL career, so he'd give Dallas options, writes Robinson. He's also under contract through 2024, so he could stick on the Cowboys roster and take over for Gilmore, who is scheduled to reach free agency next spring. Douglas has served as the Packers' starting cornerback since the 2021 season after beginning his career with the Philadelphia Eagles back in 2017. Not only did Douglas win a Super Bowl at the conclusion of the season, he started 5 games while appearing in 48% of the defensive snaps. The 28-year-old veteran has started 56 of his 95 appearances and is coming off of a banner year in which he posted a career-high 85 tackles last season. Rasul Douglas ranks among top cornerbacks in NFL despite the Packers' lackluster play on the defensive end this season. They rank 21st in points allowed. Their pass defense is a strong part of their unit. They rank 8th in passing yards, 5th in passing touchdowns and 9th in yards per attempt allowed. Douglas is one of the main reasons for that strong level of play. According to Pro Football Focus, Douglas has posted an 80.7 defensive grade and 85.6 grade in coverage this season. Among cornerbacks, with at least 100 snaps, Douglas ranks 8th in defensive grade and 3rd in coverage grade. Making the idea of a Douglas acquisition even more enticing is his versatility. He played 198 defensive snaps in the slot last season. While the acquisition of Douglas could certainly bring the Cowboys' defense to another level, team owner Jerry Jones is downplaying the idea of a trade before the deadline on October 31st. Via Clarence Hill of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, "I don't think there's anything at a level that I would expect to do anything. I don't see anything heated up to a level that would cause something happen," Jones said on Thursday, October 26. While Jones continues to give off the idea that the Cowboys will stand pat at the deadline, the idea of acquiring a starting cornerback such as Douglas for a late-round draft pick would be too good of an offer to pass up.